Hey peoples, this is going to be the first video that I've made for quite some time. Feel a bit nervous, but the best way to do that best way to take care of that is to just jump right in. Today I'm doing an unboxing of the Terminator card game. Collectible card game developed in year 2000 by a Precedence. This is an out-of-print card game. There was only the one set, there were no further expansions, just this. And let's get into it. Feels kind of interesting and exciting to open some things. This is relatively cheap. You can pick this up pretty cheaply. I think this cost me like $15 a box, Australian. Okay. There's a bunch of them you can get on eBay. Oh, that's cool. That's really interesting. Usually with card game boxes, the boosters are aligned to go this way, but not this way. I haven't seen this one. Cool. So there's 9 cards in a pack. There's 1 rare, I think, with 3 uncommon and 5 commons. Doesn't that look foreboding? Goodness. Join the Legends Club periodic newsletter. Wow. So this is the Battlegrounds sort of system. I think there was like an Alien versus Predator, or an Aliens and a Predator version of this kind of thing. Oh boy. Exciting. Packs are good. Okay. It's the back of the card as well. It's not too bad. Let's see. I think these are commons, and then no. Oh, okay. Huh? Which one's the rare? So this is the first pack of this and I'm not sure what the arrangement of the cards are. Just one momento. Oh, so weird. Okay, so this is the rare card. Colonel Perry. That's so bizarre. Well, I was going to try and separate these into commons, uncommons, and rares, but I think I'll just... Wow, okay, cool. I think I'll just open them and chuck them around. Okay. Right, okay. Okay, so the second last card is the rare card, and that's really weird. That's a really weird way of doing it. I don't know why they did that. But at least I can separate the rares now. So you notice, like a lot of other card games, there are different types of cards in this set. There are, let's see, event cards. There are item cards, characters and supporting characters, and locations. That was really easy. So the way this game works is it's very different to other card games. For example, instead of having starting the game with nothing, basically, you have you start with a location card in play. You have your standard draw deck, as other card games do. And you also have, if you're playing Resistance, Sarah Connor, John Connor, Lieutenant Reese, whatever. Then you have one, 2, or 3 dudes out in play. And if you are the Skynet side, then you have you start in play with a Terminator, like an infiltrator or something like that, and they have all their equipment already attached, and you have a location in play. And reading the rules, the game looks very role play, like RPG-ish kind of thing. You have ranged attacks, melee attacks, and instead of having a combat phase where you attack and you defend and damage is dealt and that's it, you roll to hit. Starter decks come with a D6, a 6-sided die, and you have to roll to see if you hit your opponent or hit your target. And then after that, you do damage, and damage is reduced by a infiltrator. That's what I'm talking about. And damage is reduced by however much resistance or defense they have. Oh, that's cool. So there are 24 packs in a box. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're a third of the way through. That's cool. Yeah, and for example, like locations in this set, they don't like some games that have like locations or sorry, I lost my train of thought. Some cards that have location cards, they are there for like a single effect or a continuous effect or whatever. But this is actually a bit different. And when I see something that I can use as a reference, I'll show you. So this guy, this is his speed, which is equal to his movement, and characters can actually move from location to location. And depending on what location you are at, depending on what abilities or keywords are on that character card, they can search for stuff, they can build stuff, and I guess they can hide or whatever, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it that much, but I will soon. I'll make another video for that. Forward offensive. What I gather from the rules as well is that there are different win conditions for when you play as well. The usual kind of win condition is, for this particular thing, it's not like a game where you have life points like Magic the Gathering. It's very similar to Pokemon, where if you win, if you can wipe out all of your opponent's team. And that's the same with this. You win if you can, knock out all of your opponent's characters. If you're Skynet, then you gotta take out your Resistance guys, and vice versa. But there's also another thing. You can also have an importance victory. And an importance victory is sort of like, let's see, sort of like victory points kind of thing. Yeah. In the Rage card game, which was based on the Werewolf the Apocalypse role-playing game, or storytelling game by White Wolf, they have renown. And when you reach a certain amount of renown, which is like the measure of victory points that you get, then you win. And that's sort of the same thing here. This particular score, 0. That's fine, but this value is his importance value. And importance is the measure of victory points. When you reach, depending on the game type that you're playing, and there are multiple scenarios that you can play games with. When you reach a certain amount of importance, that's called an importance victory, and that will win you the game. It's very similar to the Blood Wars card game in that sense. You know, that game is all about victory points. Okay. Yeah, so I'm interested in playing this game. At least have a crack at a couple of games, a couple of rounds or whatever. From what I see, though, this would probably be a very good game to make, or at least a halfway decent kind of gaming system to make like a sort of like a dungeon delving role-playing based card game. Yeah. Another infiltrator, cool. How many we got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so these are event cards. These are like these funky orange ones. These are mission ones. Mission ones will give you sort of like a requirement that you have to fulfill, and then you can get mission points, or it will give you mission points and then give you some sort of effect or whatever. Another interesting thing about the locations is that you have exterior and interior locations. And locations can be accessed by both players. So in your location section, in your HUD, your heads-up display, you have your locations all lined up. And if you have, say for example, you have a location called a dumpster, and your opponent has a location called dumpster, even though you both control it, it's effectively the same thing. In the sense that you can move, say for example, you have a dumpster, and then next to that you've got like a sports shop or whatever, and your opponent has got a dumpster, and he has, say, I don't know, a bar or something or whatever. Because you both control a dumpster, your character can move from your sports store to the dumpster, and then from that dumpster to your opponent's bar, if that makes sense. Yeah, so the main characters, the Resistance main characters are green colored. And I think I had one before, that Infiltrator. Good old Arnie, can't beat him. Yeah, so this is a main character for Skynet. So it's like a sort of like a machine sort of background. That's cool. And condition cards. Flashlight. Inhuman resilience. Oh, that reminds me. Something interesting about with combat, you know, like I said before, that you have to roll to hit and then you have damage. Characters don't have a health value per se. So when a character takes damage, for each damage that they take, they have a damage counter put on top. And each damage counter reduces their speed and their power, and I think their to hit value by 1. And play too many other card games. characters can only have as much damage as their power value states. So, where's one here? Yeah, so this guy, he will take 2 damage before he's dead. And every damage that he takes reduces his speed and his power, and he's to hit by 1. Right, well, that was an unboxing of the Terminator collectible card game. I hope that was interesting, at the very least. If not, to each their own. If you have any comments, or if you have any ideas, or if you've had experience playing the game, drop a comment, let me know. I'd be interested. Cool. Thanks, guys.